Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today we're working on the story car, and that is the 2003 Ribbsan Z530. It's a nice looking car, very sporty, sort of V60 HC engine, and it is from a lady called Jessica. Hi, my name is Jessica, but you can call me Jess. My friend mentioned that you're taking great care of her green Wormy. I figured that perhaps my car needed some more attention too. On a day-to-day basis, I don't have time to deal with the mechanics. I think that's clear. For a businesswoman, every minute is a premium, and wasting time and crawling around in oil and grease, well, that's not for me. That'll be down to us then. Please do a detailed checkup. The car isn't old, but I'll be honest with you. Besides refueling and a weekly washing, I wasn't really bothered by anything else. I've had it for a couple of years, and I'm getting the impression that it used to be sprier. Please do what you can to restore it to its past performance. So that doesn't sound too bad. It's 4 pages. That doesn't sound too bad at all, to be honest. This might be a fairly simple job. I say that now, optimistically. So in we go. We'll start obviously with the normal examination. So we'll speed through this. Hopefully this will sharpen up a few of the issues that we need to solve and come across. A couple of things are showing up on the engine, which is a little bit annoying. There's a few things. Suspension, front suspension seems to be a few issues as well there. Normally we'd fast forward through the engine checks, but actually we'll have a look at them closely because I think that's going to tell us what we need to do more than anything else, I would have said. So rear suspension now looks in good condition. Yeah, I think we're pretty safe in terms of a lot of it. Front suspension does need some work and we see some issues on the engine, but generally it doesn't look that bad. Okay, what is the first test going to reveal? Yeah, there's a few issues. They're coming up straight away. Not major though. Spark plugs and ignition coils aren't big jobs, so that's not too bad. The one thing we don't want is pistons. So there we go, ignition coils and spark plugs, they all need changing. I think that's every single one of them actually needs changing. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, that's not too bad. Compression test. This is where we need the pistons to be good. Otherwise it becomes a bigger job. I think we might be safe. Oh, camshafts. Okay, so 2 camshafts and 2 rocker arms. They need dealing with. That's not too bad. That still means the engine's coming out though, so I don't think we're going to have access to them that easily. So that's a little bit frustrating. The engine does have to come out, but we don't. The type of engine it is, we probably will have to take most of it off, annoyingly, to get to what we need. In terms of electronics, they all look in good condition. Nothing's really showing up. Nope, all good there. Nothing to worry about. Tyres, let's have a look. I would assume they're all okay. General guess, she said it runs okay. She just wants it to be a bit sprier in its old age. Okay, all good there. And we've got our fuel test. Any issues here? Normally it's the fuel filter, fuel pump. And yeah, a few issues. Although the pump's okay. Fuel filter and both fuel rails need replacing. So that's showing up quite a lot of things there. There's a few things not found, but I think the majority we've managed to find, so that's a bonus. So we'll take it all out. Always a good place to start. We still refuse to obtain the trophy for spilling oil on the floor. It's going to last as long as I can possibly make it last before it happens. We've come close. There's a few times I've nearly forgotten to do it. And we've been fined for water. I think it's only water being fined for actually. It's not draining it before removing the engine. It's normally the one that does it. So there we go. Oil is now out. We might as well disconnect everything while we're underneath. So drive shaft off first. There we go. Let's try to get the view round at the same time. Gearbox and starter motor next. Where's the starter? Hidden between the exhaust and the engine itself. There we go. Gearbox now can come off. Okay, there's a couple of issues in the gearing looking at that. But we'll deal with that when it's on the rack. 2 exhausts off. I think we're good to go. So we'll start this down and go and grab our engine crane. We shall have a look at a the engine better. It's out with the car. Ah, you know I was saying about spilling liquids before we actually take the engine out. Should we check the liquids? So the coolant reservoir, the radiator, because there's a coolant reservoir, the radiator doesn't contain liquid, but the coolant reservoir does. So we need to drain that, otherwise we'll get fined. I just remembered, we nearly got fined then. Only just thought about it as we were doing it. There we go. So engine can now come out, and we can have a better look at what we need to do. Now, camshafts are normally buried a little bit inside the engine. I think we're going to have to take most of it off, so we'll speed up taking apart the majority of the engine. I think there's a lot of stuff to come off. The timing cover and all that's going to have to come off. So we'll speed this through, and we'll see you when we're done. Okay, we're getting there now. So, last couple of camshafts to come off. It's not been too bad, to be fair. It's just a lot of screws, and that's what takes the time. Okay, so any other issues we can see? Oh, we did see the gearbox issues. So clutch release bearings no good. Let's have a look inside the others as well. Okay, the clutch plate needs to be replaced. I think that's it. I think we're good to go. Just have another look. What we're going to do is turn the engine over. I just want to inspect the, because these can catch you out if you don't check them. So I'm thinking of checking the piston rings, and although we know they're okay with the rod caps, they're one we've been caught out with one of these before. It's like one we've not checked. So I'm just double checking ourselves to save us a bit of time later. It's worth just a little hover over. We got rid of the oil plate anyway because it made visibility better. So yeah, it's just worth a quick check. Nothing worse than forgetting about one of these and messing up later on. But that is all good. So what we're going to do is go and fix everything, and we'll come back when we've fixed everything and have another look and start putting all that together. Right, everything is fixed, and we bought the replacement parts that we didn't have in the warehouse. We didn't actually have that much, to be fair, that we needed. But we'll speed up the rebuild, and we'll see you when it's done. Okay, so that's the majority of it done. Most of the screwing is now out the way, and that's the time-consuming part. So, belt going on there. We've got a belt tensioner just here to go on. We've got the oil filter. What else have we got left? think that's most of it, to be fair. Oh, gears. Okay. I just wanted to double check what else was still in our inventory, so it'd actually give me an indication of what I've missed, and it is just the gear side of stuff. So down here we just need to put on, didn't mean to make it turn round, that was the mistake. Clutch plate goes on, that's the one that was no good, we had to buy a new one. The clutch pressure plate was okay, and then we needed to buy a new clutch release bearing, because that was no good either. And that is the engine done. Not a bad looking engine either, didn't take too long. Obviously the speed up does help. So we'll have a look at the suspension now. Now we did notice the rear suspension had no real issues. The front suspension did. So let's have a look. Front right first. The brake system looks okay. Straight away you can see the suspension problems with the double wishbone suspension at the front. So I think, no, wheel hub bearing's fine. Oh, we need to take knuckle off, so we're going to have to take everything off anyway. So we've got to completely take apart the front right wheel arch and everything else just to get to the knuckle. Sway bar's gone as well, actually, looking at that. So there's a few things to take apart. So we'll take the front shock absorbers away, and then the knuckle. We've got to do the lower suspension on first. Always forget about those. There we go. And then the front steer. Oh, I've missed one. The outer tie rod. Let's take that off. That needs replacing as well, actually. So a good spot there. Okay. We didn't check rubber bushings, did we? While we're here, let's check the rubber bushings. It's sod's law. It's one of those things I will leave and forget about if I'm not careful. I'm glad we checked, because that one's no good. It's always nice when it kind of works out. And again, second one, no good. This is why we checked. I could have took on the test path, but the car doesn't drive, so the test path wouldn't work. You have to do a lot of manual checking instead. So, front left now. I don't know how much we need to take off this side, depending on the knuckle. Is it the same as the other? If it is, the whole thing's coming off. Wheel hub bearing looks fine. I think it is all coming off. I think that knuckle is on the list by looks of things. Just means it adds a bit more time to it, but it doesn't. It's not that bad. Take all this stuff off, to be fair. Yeah, that definitely needs replacing. The sway bar front end link off, and the sway bar itself needs replacing as well. Can't be fixed. We've got the front shock absorber, so both of those need replacing. I don't know what she's doing on the front end of the car, but it's definitely damaging it quite badly. And we need another outer tie rod as well. And then the steering knuckle. Now, we'll double check the bushings. We've found two that are no good so far. And then we'll go and... third one. This is why we checked them. It's odds law, I'll forget one. 4. We need 4 new bushings. Right, we'll fix everything, buy the replacement parts, and then we'll come back. Okay, so everything has been paid for and brought and taken out of the warehouse that's needed. So now we just need to rebuild the whole of the front suspension. Starting with the knuckles. And all the shock absorber. To be fair, it's not that bad. It's a very basic suspension system, so it's quite simple to do. I was trying to get a decent angle. Rubber bushings, I need to remember to put those back in because they're so easily missed. If you forget to put them back in, you may not notice until it's too late, to be fair. So, sway bar can go back in as well. And then we've got the lower suspension arm. There we go. We're using some of the worn parts, worn bushes there, because we know we need the 100% ones, mainly for the actual suspension system in the middle. So there's a sway bar front end link. Things looking nice and shiny again. It's always nice when you rebuild something, you see it all nice and shiny. There is a sense of satisfaction there. So brake disc back on, brake pads. We needed the bearing inside. There we go. And then the wheel hub cap. Brake calipers, and then the wheel itself as well. And that is the front left of the car done. We're making good headway, to be fair. It's not been overly complicated. I don't think we've made any major mistakes so far. Touch wood. Okay, right steering knuckle now, going back on, and knuckle cover. Now, rubber bushings before I forget, because I will. Know what I'm like. There we go. We've got lower suspension arm, we've got shock absorber to go on first, and then that will have the sway bar front end link. There we go. And the outer tie rod. There we go, lower suspension arm. And that's the last good rubber bushings we have, so that should be all of them used now. Puts us in good stead. We know we're getting somewhere once you've used those rubber bushings. Brake disc going on. We need to do the bearing inside, and then the wheel cap, hub cap, and then brake pads, and then the wheel, brake caliper. I nearly forgot brake caliper. Brake caliper and then wheel itself. To be fair, you can't forget because it won't allow you to put the wheel back on. So that is the suspension all done. I believe there's nothing wrong with the rear. So we're going to head straight to grab the engine and put it in the car. There we go. Engine back in. Engine crank can go away. And we'll take the car back up. We need to reattach the gearbox and the drive shaft and all that good stuff to make the car move. Just trying to get an angle now. This is the only problem with these things, is getting the angle on them. So we'll put the right front exhaust on. Gearbox back in place. Try and keep an angle there so we can do the starter motor. There we go. And then the left front exhaust. And then we just need to get an angle round so we can do drive shaft. Perfect. Okay. Now, we lower the vehicle down. We need to just make sure everything's done. I think we have. I don't think there's any major issues. We can put the oil back in as well, and liquids. We need to double check liquids, I think, because I can't remember which ones we need to replace and sort out. We know oil and coolant need replacing because we drained them both. I'm not sure on the others offhand. So let's have a look. Air filter still needs doing. We've missed something, but it's nothing major. So that's a bonus. And then power steering and wheel alignment as well. Okay, so we'll drain power steering liquid while we're here. Must remember wheel alignment. So power steering liquid gone. While we're here, we'll drain the window washer liquid as well. And then we should be able to top all these back up. And then it's just a case of the air filter. That's that one done. 2 to go. Window washer. Perfect. And then what else we got? Coolant. And I think that's all the liquids done. Nothing to do, we don't have to touch the brake liquids, that's all good. I think that's it. And it's just, yeah, it should be just air filter. And wheel calibration. Cannot forget wheel calibration. Okay, let's turn around. We're just going to get a view on the air filter. Here it is. So this is the one that has the little clips that are really frustrating. Easily to forget, easy to miss. But generally fairly simple to sort out. So we need to buy a new air filter. Let's add it to our shopping list quickly. There we go. And that is in. So what we're going to do, once you've clipped all this back up, we're going to go off and calibrate the wheels. And then we'll come back, speak numbers, talk numbers, and then that'll be it for today. It's flown through already. Nice, quick story car. That doesn't happen very often. Normally they're quite long-winded, but this wasn't too bad at all. So we'll see you when we finish calibrating the wheels. And that is the wheel alignment done. So we spent £1,738 fixing the car. We were going to be paid £6,527. Not bad. With a profit of £4,789. And that is it for today. Quick word about next episode. Next episode we're attending our first ever auction. So look out for that. We'll see you next time.